Svanyam Prakritim Vidhi Me Param Jeevabhutam Mahabaho Yayedham Dharyate Jagat. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text 5. Besides these, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mind which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. Purport. Here it's clearly mentioned that living entities belong to the superior nature energy of the Supreme Lord. The inferior energies matter manifested in different elements, namely earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Both forms of material nature, namely gross, that is earth, etc., and subtle, mind, etc., are products of the inferior energy. The living entities who are exploiting these inferior energies for different purposes are the superior energy of the Supreme Lord. And it is due to this energy that the entire material world functions. The cosmic manifestation has no power to act unless it is moved by the superior energy, the living entity. Energies are always controlled by the energetic, and therefore the living entities are always controlled by the Lord. They have no independent existence. They are never equally powerful as unintelligent men think. The distinction between the living entities and the Lord is described in Srimad Bhagavatam as follows. So there are two things. One is the material energy consisting of all the 8 elements, and we saw yesterday, and according to Sankhya philosophy, the 24 elements of this material world and so on. That is the material energy. And that material energy is controlled by the living entities in the limited sphere. For example, all the activities that happen in this world, who is making it happen? It is the living entity. So without the living entity, the body cannot even function. So because the soul belongs, it is the superior energy, it is the belongs and belongs to the superior energy of Krishna. And that is controlling, trying to exploit the material nature for various purposes. But this superior energy itself is under the control of the Supreme Lord. Because he is the energetic, and we are the energy, spiritual energy. We are spiritual, but we are still energy of the Lord. So, I don't know, someone is constantly calling me. Just take off the recording button. Sorry for the. So, the distinction, but the living entities are not equal to the Lord. We are equal in quality. We shouldn't miss this delusion. For some people, they understand I'm not this body and I'm the soul. Then they start thinking. So the distinction between the living entities and the Lord described in Srimad Bhagavatam 87.30 as follows. Aparimita dhruvas tanubhrito yadi sarvagathas tarhi na shashyateti niyamo dhruva netratha ajani cha yanmayam tad avimuch niyantham matha dushta. O Supreme Eternal, if the embodied living entities were eternal and all-pervading like you, then they would not be under your control. But if the living entities are accepted as minute energies of your lordship, then they are at once subject to your supreme control. Therefore, real liberation entails surrender by the living entities to your control, and that surrender will make them happy. In the constitutional position, only can they be controllers. How is that? Krishna is allowing you to control. You control, but under his guidance. He tells, do this, do that. You're controlled by him, but he may use you to control something or allow you to control something. It is his mercy. That way only somebody can be a controller, like the Devatas or Brahmaji. They are controlling us, but they are not the supreme controller. They are being controlled by Krishna, and under his instruction only they are able to control. So, therefore, real liberation entails surrender by the living entities to your control, and that surrender will make them happy. In that constitutional position only can they be controllers. Therefore, men with limited knowledge who advocate the monistic theory that God and living entities are equal in all respects are actually guided by a faulty and polluted opinion. That is monism. It's almost like it's atheism. The Supreme Lord Krishna is the only controller, and all living entities are controlled by him. These living entities are a superior energy because the quality of their existence is one, and the same with the Supreme. But they are never equal to the Lord in quantity of power. So you see why the demoniac who want to be God so much, they're envious of God and they want to be God. That's why they want to control everybody. Somebody who's very, very dominating and wanting to control everybody, he wants to act like God. He thinks he wants to be God. And God is not controller in that way. He very naturally has that power which he wants. It is only an exchange of love for him. He doesn't have this kind of a demonic tendency to, just for the sake of control and power. He naturally is the supreme, and all the parts he wants to exchange love. He gives complete independence. He doesn't, he controls, but he gives us independence also. You can choose to be under my control or you can be in Maya. And he of course, through various this thing, he tries to win us over, but never he gives us full freedom. So his thing is of wanting to have loving exchanges with full freedom. What is the use of loving someone you force them to love you? That's no, I mean, you don't feel that is real love. So that is his concern. But try to imitate God. And you don't want to do the loving part. You only want to control. So that is the um, the demonic aspect. These living entities are a superior energy because the quality of their existence is one with the same with the Supreme. In the spiritual world, quality of everybody is the same as the Lord, but they're never equal to the Lord in quantity of power. While exploiting the gross and subtle inferior energy matter, the superior energy, the living entity, forgets his real spiritual mind and intelligence. This forgetfulness is due to the influence of matter upon the living entity. But when the living entity becomes free from the influence of the illusory material energy, he attains the stage called mukti or liberation. The false ego, under the influence of material illusion, thinks, I am matter and material acquisitions are mine. His actual position is realized when he is liberated from all material ideas, including the conception of his becoming one in all respects with God. Therefore, one may conclude that the Gita confirms the living entity to be only one of the multi-energies of Krishna. And when this energy is freed from material contamination, it becomes fully Krishna conscious or liberated. So Krishna is clearly telling that there are two energies. Yesterday he was talking about the material energies, and today he's saying of the superior energy of mind, which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. So always matter is controlled by spirit. So here also in the material world, that is why the more, if someone wants to have more control, then they do tapasya and so on, all these asuras even, because it is with more spiritual energy only you can control even the matter. And but at this but by doing that, what happens is he gets into a delusion. See, I'm controlling everything, I'm like God. You're only a tiny God, a tiny little, not God, tiny part of God. So you're able to do also controlling Everything, whatever God does in small, minute quantities, we also do. We create, we maintain, we reproduce, all these things we do, but in very, very minute quantity. That we should always understand. We are part of Krishna and we are tiny miniature Krishnas because we also have the quality he has. For this forgetfulness of our difference in quantity is due to the influence of matter upon the living entity. So that is the whole thing. That matter who's controlling, that's also controlled by Krishna. He is only, ultimately, he is the cause of our being in Maya. And only he can help us to come out of Maya, not by ourselves. We cannot fight with Maya because Maya is energy of Krishna. And so she is very, very powerful. All we can do is try our best. Whatever Krishna tells us, we do. But for results, we depend completely on Krishna. For material things, only Krishna is saying, Karmanivadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. You have a right to perform your duty. You have no this thing over the results. Krishna gives the results. So, what power do we actually have? We are completely dependent on Krishna. And a liberated person is very happy about this. But because of material energy acting on us, we want to be independent. We don't want to listen to everything what Krishna says. We've got so much of a disease. We don't want to submit to authority because we want to feel I'm independent, I'm the Lord, I'm the controller, I want to dominate over others. This is actually a disease. But people are very proud of that, and those who are very materialistic, they don't even think it's a disease. They think it's my right. And there are people who like to be, who are easily, we can dominate, so let me dominate. And they'll use all kinds of, power, politics, all kinds of cunningness, power, destruction, everything. Anyhow, they become so power hungry. And that is because they become addicted to this feeling of, they, because the more you try to control, the more you start enjoying, feel like a god. Then you want to become more and more and more, and it doesn't satisfy. That is material energy. Whereas Krishna is not like that. He is very peaceful and joyful, and he wants to serve his devotees. He's full of so much love and care. That is his position. So there's no problem. Here we are artificially trying to get something. We don't have that power like God, but here, like we have big, big asuras. They do tapasya so that they can become like God and control everyone. So the material energy is very, very, what do you call it? It keeps on, it covers our intelligence and makes us more and more degraded. So that is the danger of material energy. To be under the material energy's control means definitely degradation of the mind. We keep on losing our intelligence more and more. We get intelligence to exploit material nature. See, that is the difference. We have to see the difference between material intelligence and spiritual intelligence. When we are surrendered to Maya, because of good karmas and all that, you can get intelligence. What is material intelligence? Intelligence, how to exploit material nature for one's own sense gratification. That's all. On the other hand, spiritual intelligence is coming from the soul. Spiritual intelligence has got, spirit has got intelligence, ego also, the sense of I, who am part and parcel of Krishna. That is real ego. So that is also there. And that is real intelligence because spirit automatically has intelligence. You don't even need to go to school and all that. In the spiritual world, everybody is self-intelligent because of being surrendered to Krishna. All intelligence is coming from Krishna. All knowledge is coming from Krishna. So that's why when you're connected to Krishna, you don't need to, practice something. You want to dance, you dance. It automatically comes. All creative energy, power comes from Krishna. So that is how natural it is. But here, because we block that connection from Krishna, we have to, every time we are born, nothing, we come with zero knowledge, everything has to be relearned, because it's all matter, material intelligence, false ego, material mind. We come with a clean slate, again we have to relearn, practice, and then become somewhat a little expert in that, and so on. Etad yoni, text 6. Etad yonini bhutani sarvaniti upadaraya aham kritsnasya jagatta prabhava pralayastata. All created beings have their source in these two natures. Of all that is material and all that is spiritual in this world, know for certain that I am both the origin and the dissolution. About everything that, oh, Abhijit Prabhu, you only read. I forgot. I should not strain my voice still.
Okay, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Everything that exists is a product of matter and spirit. Spirit is the basic field of creation, and matter is created by spirit. Spirit is not created at any stage of material development. Rather, this material world is manifested only on the basis of spiritual energy. This material body is developed because the spirit is present within matter. A child grows gradually to boyhood and then to manhood because that superior energy, spirit soul, is present. Similarly, the entire cosmic manifestation of the gigantic universe is developed because of the presence of the supersoul Vishnu. Therefore, spirit and matter, which combine to manifest this gigantic universal form, are originally two energies of the Lord, and consequently, the Lord is the original cause of everything. A fragmental part and parcel of the Lord, namely the living entity, may be the cause of a big skyscraper, a big factory, or even a big city, but he cannot be the cause of a big universe. The cause of the big universe is the big soul or super soul, and Krishna the Supreme is the cause of both the big and small roots. Therefore, he is the original cause of all causes. This is confirmed in the Katha Upanishad 2.2.13, Nitya Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam.
So we are, by study of the micro, a micro, what do you call that? Organism. We are the micro aspect, and macro is this universe. By studying our body and how it functions, we can understand how the universe is functioning. So we are made up of material energy, our body is material, but it has come into being only because of the existence of the soul. And that is very nicely explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam, how the souls, how do they enter, because the souls are there in the semen. And when it's impregnated, then when only if the soul is there, then the fertilization takes place. So from spirit only matter comes, and fertilization right from conception. Without the soul, there is no question of fertilize. It will not fructify into a body unless the soul is there. And how do the souls enter the body? Through grains. You see, it's described later in the Bhagavad Gita also, I think. Yeah, it is described. So, from the heavenly planets, when the souls come down, the karma is over, then they come through rains. With the rains, they come down and they enter the this thing, as seeds, and then they in the seed form and all that. So when they eat, when food is eaten through the grains, the soul enters the body, and then that is how when there is this thing, when there is intercourse, then fertilization takes place. So by studying how actually the soul is the cause of this whole body, and the body functions only because of the existence of the soul. Similarly, this whole material world, this whole universe, how can it function when now Our body cannot function without the existence of the soul. And then this whole universe, which is also made up of matter, cannot function without a big soul to work it out. We are all tiny, tiny souls, what we can control this whole universe. So there has to be a super soul, right? It makes sense through logic also, if somebody is open to it. But if you're blind, some people don't want to believe that there is a God. They want to break it down to just matter. They don't even believe in the existence of a soul because they've surrendered to material energy and they just want to be, just do material things. They are afraid because sinful activity is all that. If you start believing in religion, God, and all that, then all rules, regulations, and his domination will come. They don't want to be under control of anyone. So, but if you're open, then you will realize that just like my body is useless without the soul, definitely this whole gigantic universe, which is functioning so perfectly, just like my body is functioning, there has to be a big super soul there. So therefore, spirit and matter, which combine to manifest this gigantical universal form, are originally two energies of the Lord, and consequently, the Lord is the original cause of everything, even because first the gigantic universe has to develop, and for that the super soul is there, and then he is Lord is the original cause of everything because material energy is coming from him and spiritual energy also coming from him. So even we may be living entity, because of his spiritual nature, he's also able to create small things like a big skyscraper, big factory, or even a big city. But he cannot be the cause of a big universe. That itself should make them understand my power is limited. But the scientists will honestly puff themselves up and see that no, that is some scientists. Real scientists, uh, they are, very open-minded, like Einstein. They say that what I know is just a little bit. This whole universe created by God, they acknowledge. But most of these scientists who are atheistic, and so in the future, they say we will do this and that, and we'll conquer over death, and we can bring you back, we'll keep you frozen. And then once the science develops, we'll know how the body can be revived. They've never done that, not even once have they ever done it. There is no proof at all that sometime that the dead body will suddenly rise on its own and become young again and live forever. Unnecessary hopes they give because they want to believe that. There is no proof that they want to believe that without God, I want to exist eternally. They don't want death. Whereas a religious person, nobody wants death. But once we understand I'm a spirit soul, then, and that I'm eternal being and I have an eternal life, that is what will help us become happy. They don't want to do all that. They want, asuras always, they want to be in the present bodies. See, Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, all of them, they did big, big tapasya. And when Brahmaji came and asked, what do you want? I want immortality. In the same body, I want to be there forever. So that is what they want, immortality in this very same body, which is impossible. Okay, then, this is a long thing. Shall we read? Okay. Mattaha paratram nanyat kinchid asti dhananjaya mayi sarvam idam protam sutre manigana iva. Yes, Abhijit Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna. O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. Purport. There is a common controversy over whether a supreme personal absolute truth is personal or impersonal. As far as Bhagavad Gita is concerned, the absolute truth is the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, and this is confirmed in every step. in this very verse in particular, it is stressed that the absolute truth is a person. That personality of God is the supreme absolute truth is also affirmation of the Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. That is the supreme absolute truth personality of God is Lord Krishna, who is the primeval Lord, the reservoir of all pleasure Govinda, and the eternal form of complete bliss and knowledge. These authorities have no doubt that the absolute truth is the supreme person, the cause of all causes. The impersonalist, however, argues on the strength of the Vedic version given in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad 3.10. Tato yad uttarataram tad arupam anayam anamayam. Hare Krishna. Okay. Matthew, if you
Prabhu, your voice is breaking, I think.
okay. No, I think your voice was breaking. Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
But I wasn't speaking at all.
Okay.
Somebody else
Okay. Is it?
speaking.
Yeah. Someone was speaking, so I muted them. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, continue.
Tato yat uttarataram tat arupam anamayam ya etad vidur amritas te bhavanti athetare dukham eva piyanti. In this material world, Brahma, the primeval living being entity within this universe, is understood to be the supreme among the demigods, human beings, and lower animals. But beyond Brahma, there is the transcendence who has no material form and is free from all material contaminations. Anyone who can know him also becomes transcendental, but those who do not know him suffer the miseries of the material world.
So Krishna is saying, O conqueror of wealth, to Arjuna, there is no truth superior to me. So Krishna is the highest truth. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. So because in this material world we see what everything, but we don't see what is holding everything. Just like he's giving the example of a pearl necklace. You see only the pearls strung, and you don't know what's holding that pearls. You don't see it, right? There's a thread actually which is holding it all up, but you don't see that. So Krishna is saying, everything is resting on my energy like pearls are strung on a thread. And all the planets and everything is just Krishna is holding it up. It's like, say, you take some mud from the ground and you hold it up. Okay, you roll it into a ball and you're holding it up. Then it looks like it's floating, right? Suppose somebody cannot see your hand and you're invisible. And then you take the mud and you hold it. People will think, oh, this mud is floating. But actually, you're only holding it up like that. It's Krishna's energy. He's holding it up, everything. That is what it is. But then it is also so wonderful that has created material laws also. This whole material energy also. Ultimately, he's only holding it up, but through it seems as if this is the illusion he creates, that through all these material laws of gravity and this and that, to bewilder the atheistic people. Then they think, oh, this is all the laws which are operating. There is no person or anything. How is that possible to have laws without a person? That's how the brain becomes, is the intelligence becomes covered. But Krishna is saying here, don't think like that. Behind everything is me. And so in this verse, it's stressed that the absolute truth is a person. He's saying there is no truth above me. What the impersonalists are saying is, okay, maybe Krishna was a person here, but above him is the impersonal Brahman. Because how can he be all pervading? How can one person be everywhere? So they are trying to understand him mentally, using their own limitations. Okay, we cannot be everywhere. But the Supreme Person can. He's got so many energies, spiritual energies, so many Shaktis. He can expand himself, Garbhodakshai, Vishnu, Shirodakshai, and keep on. He can expand himself and be everywhere in every atom. That they don't know. And they don't want to listen also. They think, no, it's impossible. It can only be. And so they make use of some verse here and there in the Upanishad. It's Svetashvatara Upanishad. Because Upanishad doesn't describe Krishna fully. It is only taking us from, because Vedas are talking only about material energy. From there, I mean, like how to live happily in this material world in a very sattvic way. So Upanishads take you from that material stage to the next level by saying that you're not this body. And that is what, this in the material world, Brahma is understood to be the supreme among the demigods, human beings, and lower animals. But beyond Brahma, there is the transcendence, who has no material form and is free from all material contaminations. Anyone who can know him also becomes transcendental, but those who do not know him suffer the miseries of the material world. So here, it is not describing Krishna as a person, but just says that there is transcendence, who has no material form. Because it's very difficult to understand in the beginning how you can have a form which is transcendental. So they're just saying that he doesn't have material form. So they use this. See, that means he doesn't have any form at all. This is the problem. Most of the people in this world are thinking like that God is Nirakar. That's hodgepodge philosophy. They follow everything up to this point. Other things, everything will be common. Same Vedas, Upanishads, Puranas, everything. Finally, when it comes to understanding God, Bhagwan Nirakar hai, they will say. And they think he is the Brahma
Sure.
Jyoti, become merged in him. The impersonalist puts more stress on the word arupam, but this arupam is not impersonal. It indicates the transcendental form of eternity, bliss, and knowledge as described in the Brahma Samhita. And also in the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, it says, I know that the Supreme Personality of Godhead was transcendental to all material conceptions of darkness. Only he who knows him can transcend the bonds of birth and death. There is no way for liberation other than this knowledge of that Supreme Person. It's clearly saying that the Supreme Lord is a person. There is no truth superior to that Supreme Person because he is the supermost. He is smaller than the smallest, he is greater than the greatest, he is situated as a silent tree, and he illumines the transcendental sky. And as a tree spreads its roots, he spreads his extensive energies. So he's like a silent tree because Krishna doesn't need to keep talking. He's so peaceful, so calm, everything is there. All he can just do all activities with all his senses without even moving. He's just lying down in this Ananta Sesha. And imagine all activities in all the universes are happening because of him. But he himself is just lying silent. He doesn't need to even talk. He can communicate without talking. And he's smaller than the smallest, greater than the greatest, situated as a silent tree, because tree doesn't speak, right? Tree is quiet and always standing. So Krishna is just silent, and he illumines the transcendental sky. And as the tree spreads its roots, he spreads his extensive energies. So see, this is eloquence. Huh? Krishna can communicate with everyone, right? He's the Paramatma in everyone's heart. And he's the one giving directions to everyone. But how is he considered silent? Because he can just communicate without even through the heart. He can just communicate without moving his lips. Just with his eyes, he can do anything with any part of the body. So that is the remarkable, qualities of Krishna. And he illumines the transcendental sky. And as the tree spreads its roots, he spreads his extensive energies. From these verses, one concludes that the supreme absolute truth is the supreme personality of Godhead, who's all pervading by his multi energies, both material and spiritual. Right? So, understanding with imagine so many things we're studying about this material world without knowing the supreme person who's doing all these things. How easy it will be to understand this material universe when we understand that Krishna is the supreme person controlling everything. You don't need to keep on studying about how to manage this, how to control this, how to find this. There's no need. Actually, they think that we were all primitive before. Actually, we were very, very advanced because all the knowledge was coming from directly Krishna. So we knew everything perfectly, very advanced. We didn't have to ourselves do research, R&D and technology and keep on coming up with so many things. That is ignorance actually. And it's not complete knowledge, and we misuse it because of knowing the fundamental truth that Krishna is the origin, the creator, the controller of this universe. So, so that is why all mystic power, earlier times, we had much, much big skyscrapers which even flew all over the universe and all that is given in the Bhagavatam. All these things were there, but it was done through mystic power, Krishna's spiritual energy, or even material, to move the material things, but with more powers, spiritual powers. We can do that. And because in Kali Yuga, we're very, very dull about our knowledge about our spiritual existence. Everyone thinks they're the body. So Krishna has allowed us to work with only the body. Think that matter, okay, study the matter, and you only try to create with your own whatever limited spheres, machines, and we feel very proud. See, we only created these machines. There is no God. We don't even need God. We can make machines and live happily ever after. That Prabhupada questions. Okay, you have your machines. Rain doesn't come. What will you do? No food. Can you live with your machines and all your this thing? Um, Factories. They cannot produce food. So we are dependent on Krishna completely. And our knowledge is complete when that's what Prabhupada said. You can teach children science, arithmetic, everything, but geography, history, everything you have to tell about how Krishna is the origin of everything, everything in connection with him. Then, okay, then it becomes very, very complete. Even this material life, material energy, whatever we are living with it, we have to live with it because we still got this material body. We're living in the material world. But when you connect Krishna with it, that he is only supplying everything and we become grateful to him for that, we'll be very happy and prosperous also. Krishna says that. Just, understand that I am, and have a relationship with him. Offer it as sacrifice of love for him. He's giving everything and we also offer it. And then again, we have it also. We have to just acknowledge that's all and serve him. And then you can be very, very prosperous and happy, healthy. Everything is possible in this material world. But because in Kali Yuga especially, we've completely forgotten him, there's so much of suffering every day. So horrible to hear about all the plotting and scheming and politics and, wars and terrorism. Why do we have to do all these things and make everybody unhappy? All diseases and rapes and abuses and horrible, hellish. That's only because we've, completely forgotten Krishna. But again, if you remember, he is everywhere. And everyone can be very happy because Krishna supplies for everyone. Prabhupada said it's a nonsense to think we are overpopulated. Nothing like that. Krishna can maintain any number of people. What we lack is only God consciousness. That's the only problem. Okay, I'll stop now.